First things first, how are you?
I'm good. I've just been traveling from Brussels and a night out with a few musicians and a little sore throat.
Had a good night, I hope.
Yeah, always a good night. Always a good night out there, yeah.
Okay, where I'd like to start is on your Facebook you posted 3 artists that you were listening to while recording the album. It was the Isley Brothers, Summer Breeze, Al Green, Tired of Being Alone, and William DeVaughn.
Yeah.
What about these artists kind of set the tone for you while recording?
I think it's the stuff that I like to sing on the way to the studio.
Okay.
So I'd always have my Al Green on or something like that, or Isley Brothers. And sometimes I think I like to share it with people and, you know, Summer Breeze, we're in the beginning of spring. It feels about right.
What about the Isley Brothers do you find so appealing?
I think it's maybe the soul of the late 60s, early 70s really resonated with me. As a kid, my parents always played me lots of stuff from then, and I kind of developed this kind of deep voice when I was quite young. And I think it was always my dad's collection would always lead me down that road of early soul stuff, yeah.
And so still now, whenever an album comes up, or you'll be listening to those kind of records? And
well, not always, but sometimes, I mean, I grew up in the centre of London where it's pretty busy and tough and there's concrete everywhere. And sometimes when you're travelling around there, you need to escape. So I always found that if I always liked music that would let me escape into another world. And, you know, there's always a few bands from that era that would always let me do that.
And would you then just walk around, headphones on, and kind of...
Yeah, singing on the train, or if we had trams in London, it would be a tram. But yeah, that's the fun bit. Or walking my dog. Every evening I have to walk the dog, and so I can sing as loud as Pavarotti.
And are these moments that inspire you as well, where song ideas come into it?
Yeah, it's kind of the songs that stick in your head, or the ideas that stick in your head wherever you are. I've never been one to use an office to start writing lyrics. It was always when I'm out and about or traveling around, you know, if it's Amsterdam and you come up with ideas, or someone says something to you and with a slightly different way of saying it, and it kind of sticks. It's good.
In that way then, I suppose the environment you're in does influence the type of ideas that you create.
I think it always should. You know, I think any kind of form of music or art, you're always picking up from your environment or how your day is or the mood you're in. And so, yeah, you put all those things together and that's what builds it.
And when it came to this record then, what kind of was the mood? Because you were, well, in London, basically on your home turf.
Yeah. Well, I think on my first record, it was very much using my studio, this old analog studio, and disappearing off there every night for about 10 hours in the evening until the early hours in the morning. And I really liked that environment. I felt very much at home. So for this record, I wanted to do the same, kind of go back to my roots, and hopefully that's come across in some of the songs.
Did you discover something new about those roots? Something, because going back to it now after all these experiences you've had?
Yeah, I found an easier way to get to the studio.
Okay.
Instead of rush hour, you know, on trains, there's this Woolwich ferry which goes from Woolwich to Charlton, and no one ever knows about it. And so, you know, me and the band would always drive in the old Mercedes. There's no one else on it, and it's just heaven. It's just like going on a little funfair ride.
And well, we talked about the inspiration. When it came to the songwriting process for this record, when did it start? How long ago was?
Well, I deliberately said I wouldn't be touring for a year, so I had a year of writing at home. And although I travelled to Holland a lot, or to all across Germany as well, and I've still kind of done lots of stuff on the road, really, without any gigs. But I just needed some time to myself so I could just concentrate on doing it. You really need some time just to collect your thoughts.
And well, once you've done that, what was the starting point for the record? Did you have a vision in mind?
You need a song. You need one song to be the catalyst. So I had this one song idea called "Smiling," which is it's kind of the idea of wanting to go on adventures, kind of like Indiana Jones, but with a guitar. You know, you just kind of want to see new places or meet new people and just check new things out. So that's a song about how we all, if we have the opportunity, I think we should all take it up, you know. It's a big world, but it's a small world with, nowadays, you can travel pretty much anywhere you like, you know. And at least for a little while, you know. You normally need a work visa, but you know, you can go and see the world, it's there to be explored, so I try my best.
Is there then, since the previous album, one experience that you've had or somewhere you went that kind of sticks out?
No, I think the kind of running theme I've always had was always personal relationships. So it's, you know, it's all about the people that we're closest to. That always works for me. Whenever I see or get emails from friends or fans, they always say, "Oh, we played this at our wedding," or you know, if someone had passed away, it was at their funeral or something. It was always really in the middle of their lives, and I always found that quite a strange but, you know, an important thing. These songs kind of disappear into people's lives and take over, or disappear from me at least.
Yeah, when you write, are you conscious of this,
No.
this side of what music does?
No, not really. I think the best kind of writing is the stuff that comes kind of subconsciously, and that's why I never really work in the office or anything like sounds like hard work. I just kind of see what happens and what comes about, or if I have a song I want to sing to someone in particular, that's what I dig.
And so I can assume that the record is autobiographical then?
Yeah, I mean, there's touches of other stuff, you know, there's elements of kind of social awareness now, you know, it's, in England, I'm sure it's the same in Holland, but it's pretty tough times, tough living at the moment. And even seeing Brussels, you know, you can really see the issue with homelessness there, and in London as well. It's so I think it's important for musicians and artists to be, you know, to have a point of view and to perhaps not preach the idea, because no one needs to be preached to.
Right.
But I think you could always tell a story from your own point of view. So I have a couple of songs on the record that give you kind of my point of view on things.
And well, you mentioned smiling. So was it after you wrote that song that the rest kind of took form and gravitated towards
Yeah, I mean, the whole album has a kind of a theme of migration. You know, my father was born in India and to an Indian mother and an English father, and he came over on a boat when he was really young. And my mother came over to London from Ireland, and so this whole idea of travelling from somewhere else, it kind of, I think that's the reason why I've got the bug about always wanting to see somewhere else. And at least in the UK, it's really tough because, you know, there seems to be so much restriction about where you can move and where you can't move and where you can work and where you can't work. And that doesn't really work for me. I'm a little bit more thinking we should be a little free, and we should be allowed to go where we want, I think.
In that sense, the way you're talking about England and London, I suppose, does it feel, well, I suppose it does feel like home, but do you like living there?
Yeah, I mean, all my roots are there. You know, all my roots are, or they're in Ireland, or they're all in the British Isles. And, but I still, you know, you've got this opportunity when you're this musician with a guitar, you can get to see the world. And I think if you're given opportunities, you should kind of grab them. You know, I always found it too easy just to stay at home and worry about these things that you know. But sometimes I think I just feel you have to go out and have a look and do some crazy stuff.
When you started out, was this part of it? This kind of risk taking to venture out into the world?
No, I was like a studio recluse.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying it. You know, I was very much just content to stay within four walls. But then if you have a record that's doing okay, or you're on the radio, you get asked to go all over the world, and you know, it's kind of scary sometimes, but it's. I think you get into it, you get the bug, and you want to do more and see stuff, and that's when you get to meet, you know, pretty amazing people and get more experience.
Was there something in particular that kind of instigated this turn, where you were a studio recluse, and then?
I think the song got played a lot I had a song called Happiness that was played a lot in Holland, and another song called Lost. And you know, the Dutch radio are pretty much known for being early adopters, you know, and they're very much into kind of soul singers. I think it's something to do with the 60s, how Northern Soul,
Right.
all the vinyl that wasn't, that was imported from the US came over to the UK, and then it got passed through onto Holland. So there's a real kind of tradition of soul here. And so there was always a really good audience, yeah.
In that sense, then, is it more difficult in London or in England?
It's not more difficult. I don't know if we've got the... I think we're perhaps more fashion conscious in the UK. And also, you know, I seem to connect more in, if it's France, Belgium or something like that, they have the history of Jacques Brel or Serge Gainsbourg, where you can be a guy and sound like the guy, you know, and embrace that. I don't think the UK really has that.
Right.
There's more of an indie or a fashionable scene, and that was never really my style.